A lot of guys are asking me, you know, how I went from, you know, the lawn care to the skid steer. I will say that it wasn't easy, but it took some, you know, thinking ahead scenarios, right? Being in the lawn care game for so long, it made it where I started seeing, you know, what other people were making on bobcat jobs and stuff. So I've always been real proactive on that, you know. Yeah. But I used to see, you know, other guys on these jobs, and they're making, you know, $4 or $5 grand, and I'm making $60 on the lawn. I have always had a unique way of trying to get to the money. You know, whatever work that I'm doing, just a hustler's mentality throughout. But after about 8 or 9 years of doing the lawn care, I started learning that, you know, well, it requires a lot of labor, and I was really hungry in the wintertime, and that's basically what made me start to, I don't know, I would be looking at things going on around me, and I'd say, man, if I had one of them, I could do this, this, and that. If I had that, I could do this, this, and that. And I could make a lot more money in a lot less time and have more of a profitable business. It's all good. But, you know, it's just, but you don't just do this overnight. There's a sequence of things that you have to do to plan for. Number one, you don't want to go bankrupt, right? You know, and there's a lot of guys out there that, you know, they're on the fence about getting into lawn care. Then you got another set of guys that are on the fence about going, you know, getting, you know, into some more lucrative work than the lawn care if they're already in the lawn care. To me, you just about have to be in some kind of lawn care, lawn maintenance occupation to be able to really parlay into, you know, the skid steer stuff. Not all the time, but, you know, a lot of times that's, well, that's just the best way, because that you're more educated on everything that you're doing. You know, if I hadn't been doing the lawn care for so long, for, you know, 9 or 10 years before I bought the skid steer, I never would have bought a skid steer, because I never would have known, you know, for me, I never would have known how lucrative it could be, right? I never would have known that. It never would have occurred to me, you know. But success breeds success. So I saw that I was, you know, able to pay my bills in lawn care and somewhat successful at it, right? But, well, I want to do more than just pay my bills, right? I mean, paying my bills is just a given. I mean, to me, you know, paying my bills is, well, that's okay. That's nothing spectacular. And mowing grass, though, is a good living. It takes a lot of volume to make a lot of money. And it takes a lot of headache to make a lot of money, as you guys know from watching my videos. So, but to graduate to a machine like this, it took some risk taking. It took a lot of, you know, and guys that have been following the channel, y'all know I took a hell of a risk when I bought this machine, not knowing anything about skid steers or anything. But I know how to hustle. And if you're a hustler and a hard worker, then, you know, and a smart worker, you know, anybody can do this, what I do. Now, you're not going to come off Granny's couch at 19 years old and be where I'm at. I mean, it's not impossible, I don't guess, but it's not likely. And what I have found a lot in, you know, the lawn care game is guys get impatient, you know. and you got to be patient. The biggest thing though is you got to take in everything around you in the lawn care while you're cutting all the lawns for years. That's what I did. I took in everything going on around me like a sponge. And I saw, okay, there's money in this, but what would it take for me to do that? There's money in this, what would it take for me to be in that? You know, all those kind of things. And that's where you're learning, but you're not having to spend no money to learn, you know. If I hadn't have been successful in a lawn care, then I wouldn't have never bought the skid steer, because I wouldn't have had the confidence to do it. You got to be thinking like that. If I didn't have some success with the skid steer, then I wouldn't have had the confidence to buy a man lift. You see what I'm saying? You know, your successes ride off of each other. The last success, well, it's in the rearview mirror, and now it's time to move forward with what's the next success. What's the next move for me, you know? And you can't do all that in 2 years. I never in a million years thought that I would, well, first of all, be doing lawn care for a living. Not that it's a good or bad occupation. It never occurred to me. But you know, I've cut grass as a kid. I cut my neighbor's grass and my grass, and you know, I did a few little lawns here and there growing up. Out here in the South, it's not untypical, you know. But there's a big difference in all that and you know, buying a skid steer to be able to make money. You got to have a way to haul it around. That's a pretty big expense. Of course, y'all know that I've had some problems with the Bobcat, but I wouldn't have it any other way, I don't guess. But success breeds success. It just does. Confidence breeds more confidence. Like, you know, successful lawn care turned into Bobcat. Successful Bobcat and lawn care turned into man lift. Successful man lift, Bobcat, and lawn care is going to turn into, well, we'll see what the future holds. But I ain't scared. I don't suffer from a lack of confidence for sure. And some people take that as as being cocky. I mean, maybe I am a little cocky. You know, I come from nothing, and it is what it is, man. You know, I'm grateful and I'm thankful, and maybe a little cocky. Probably am. I know I come off as cocky a lot of times, but I'm a pretty humble kind of guy, really. I'm just absolute in the things that I do and say. I'm absolute in my thinking. I don't, you know, I don't have a crazy lifestyle or nothing. So, you know, I live good, as good as I want to live, right? I make as much money as I want to make. But you got to be in the right place in life too. You can't do what I do, right? If you got kids or, you know, young kids that need medical insurance, you know, you can't take the risks that I took, you know, because you got to provide insurance for your kids. You got to provide a stable life financially. Well, there were times in my 15 years that this was not a stable work for me. I couldn't pay my bills. I've been there, done that, right? But I I never stopped believing that I could. At the end of the day, you got to believe that you can, right? And when you believe that you can conquer anything by taking baby steps along the way, you'll end up with this. You'll end up with this. You'll end up with that. And you'll end up with a means to make a great living. Still hard work. It's still a challenge. But dude, I wouldn't have it any other way. Right? Not any other way. So it gives me a lot of satisfaction in knowing that, you know, I have come a long way. So getting into the skid steer game was a good move for me. I'm not saying it's a good move for everybody though. Okay?